You know, it was exciting to get back out there on the grass. Felt like we had a lot of enthusiasm. We got a lot of returning guys, lots of experience. Everybody, you know, seems to know where they're supposed to be. Obviously, we've had some turnover at coaches, and it was exciting for me to see these guys out here on the grass. I thought they'd done a fantastic job. You know, we've talked about on both sides of the ball, you know, the number one priority this spring has got to be the ball on both sides, starting with offensively, just securing the football. From quarterback-center exchange to handoffs to making decisions, securing the football, whether it's a wide receiver, it's a quarterback, running back, tight end in the kicking game. Defensively, if you get a turnover, securing the football. Got to get more turnovers on defense. Got to be a priority this spring, especially when you talk about fumbles. Did not get near enough last year, so that's got to be a focus for us. Felt like the kids had a great attitude out there today. You know, you can tell that it's the third year in the system. You can tell that we've got a lot of guys returning. Not a whole lot of mistakes. So that's good to see. So we can really coach fundamentals, trying to slow it down this spring as far as installs, making sure that we teach concepts and have a really good understanding of what we're doing. And I thought our guys done a nice job with that today. We've got to do a really good job this spring in the kicking game. You know, losing our snapper last year was a big deal. You know, you don't worry about that until you don't have one. So we've got lots of competition in that area. So, you know, it was a great day to be out there because there's lots of, it was wet, had a lot of rain there during practice, so we had a chance to handle the ball in some adverse situations, so that's good for us, and it should help us down the road. You know, when you look at our guys, there's obviously you can see in this off season the growth. I think our strength staff has done a fantastic job getting these guys ready for spring ball. You know, you can see it with our guys, just how their bodies have changed over the course of the last year. So, you know, we've got to continue to work hard in the weight room during spring. You know, we got 15 practices, one's down, but you really kind of got a window of about 30 days here, 35 days that we've really got to improve, got to do a nice job in our teaching progressions, got to do a great job correcting in the film room, and really kind of in the teaching progression, setting the table for 11 on 11, and it's something that, you know, offensively, you need 11 on 11. Defensively, you can do a whole lot of drills and get to that point and kind of build a little slower, but to me, offensively, you've got to be able to function as a unit, and that's something that we've got to get lots of reps of. You know, with the quarterback position, being able to go two spot and having enough bodies to practice efficiently with 4 groups is going to help us there as far as getting reps. There's good competition there. All those guys got lots of reps today, so that's good to see. You know, one thing that I wanted to say probably before I even started here, you know, is we had a tragedy last week in Nashville, in Middle Tennessee, with a tornado and the victims that were involved. And you know, there's nothing that I can say that can take it all back, but you know, we had some kids on our team that knew people that were affected, and it affected people in our state. And unfortunately, there was some loss of life there, and you know, it makes you appreciate just how important your family is, and being thankful for the opportunities that we have every day. So something that our kids have really been focused on and trying to be involved in some way and helping the victims, and something that we'll continue to do. I'll take any questions.
Please raise your hand, Coach.
Go ahead.
It's your 3rd season here on Rocky Top. Any different feelings and different, you know, always the first practice is the one that cold feet. You know, how does it feel being the 3rd season here on Rocky Top? You know, the first practice in spring practice.
Well, I believe it was obvious that we do have some experience. You know, when you compare the last 2, we're further along now, which we should be, with the experience that we have coming back. you know, I think our kids are excited to be back out there. We've had a great off season. Guys have worked really hard in the weight room. Coach Fitz and his guys have done a fantastic job, you know, kind of helping them grow, getting stronger, and changing their bodies and getting them ready to practice. So I felt like we were in really good condition today for the first day, and I felt like as the practice went, the stronger we got. Austin?
Coach, just talk about what you saw in Jimmy Brumbaugh when I had him come here to see him out there today working with the guys and being so hands-on working technique and stuff. Just your thoughts about him.
Well, Jimmy's a guy that I've known for a long time. You know, when he was playing at Auburn, we played against each other, and a guy that has really grown in the profession. I mean, the work that he's done, you know, at every stop along the way. He's a great teacher, motivator. You know, you kind of know what you're getting in him every single day. You can see it out here when I've sat in the meetings with him, and just, you know, how he teaches. I think he's really hands-on. He brings a lot of knowledge at that position, playing that position, and really is kind of the style of defensive line coach that we're looking for. You know, when we had the job come open, we didn't interview anybody else. We didn't interview him. We just offered him the job, and he came. Brett?
Coach, a couple of things. One, how big of a deal is it that for the first time since you've been here, your offensive players are not having to learn your system this spring? I know there was some carryover of what Jim brought in, the new terminology, but there's none of that this spring. And secondly, you mentioned your strength staff a couple of times. And how big of a deal is it for a couple of years now that you've not had any turnover there, that you've had the continuity so that you can physically develop this program the way on the track that it's over?
Well, to start with, offensively, you know, the longer you do something, the better you should be at it. You know, I felt like as the season went last year that we played a little cleaner. You know, didn't turn the ball over as much. Something that we need to build on this off season. Got a lot of players coming back. We lost some really good players also, so we've got some holes to fill there. But you know, I think when it comes to a terminology standpoint, understanding expectations, you know, I feel like with Jim and the offensive staff being here the second time around, you know, we're definitely a little further ahead than we were this time last year, for sure. And we've got to continue to get better every single day. So there needs to be lots of growth this spring on the offensive side. And if they'll continue to give the effort, and you know, in the meeting rooms and on the field, we'll get there. You know, you're talking about the strength staff. I can't say enough about Craig and his guys and what they've done over the last 3 years. Our guys continue to get bigger and stronger and develop discipline and to me, a lot of mental toughness. You know, in the off season, I think, you know, Craig's a guy that's in high demand. There's no secret. There's been several jobs that's been open across our league, you know, in the last couple of weeks, and Craig was the first guy that they called. You know, he decided to stay here. So, you know, he's in demand because he's good at what he does. Go ahead, Wes.
I know that you said when you got here that you wanted some bigger, stronger men, and this team program didn't have enough of them at the time. And it looks, just from the eyeball test now, that you've got more of those guys. If you can get them to play at the level that I'm sure y'all think you can get them to play to, how much does that open things up on offense and defense and allow you to kind of do more things and try more things?
Well, we have more numbers, you know, at every position. This will be the first time in 3 seasons that we'll be at 85 scholarships. So obviously that helps. You know, probably the first spring we might have had 5 scholarship offensive linemen. We moved guys over there, defensive linemen to offense and all that, but we've got some depth there on both sides of the interior. We're obviously a lot bigger than we were the first year. But these guys have got to develop and learn to play together and create the right habits. So we have competition there, so that should be good moving forward. Blake?
Two things, Jeremy. I didn't see Cooper Mays out there today. What's he dealing with? And then at the quarterback spot, it's nice to have competition. What clarity do you want to see there as these next 14 practices unfold?
Unfortunately, Cooper, he broke his foot this fall. Probably played the entire year in high school with a stress fracture that kind of got worse as the season went. And he had to have a procedure done right when he first got here, so he's not going to be able to participate in spring, unfortunately for him, because he's a guy that we're expecting to be able to get out there and compete. He's a tough guy that we targeted early in the recruiting process that we felt like played the right way. So, but he's learning. He understands it, understands the situation. So he's got to take mental reps. And from the quarterback standpoint, the first thing is to me and this sounds elementary, okay, but when you play the position, when your team gets the ball, how does the drive end? Okay, we might throw it 15 times, we might run it 15 times. Okay, so what's the end result? Okay, because part of being a quarterback is getting the other 10 guys to be at their best. Lots of times we get hung up in how many touchdowns they throw, or completion percentage, or yards they throw for. A lot of that kind of I guess it affects some of that, but to me that's the most important thing. So is every possession end with a kick? That's what we need to do. If we do that, we'll have a chance to have success.
Guys coming off injuries like Emmett Gooden, Jordan Allen, Bailey Buchanan, do they have any limitations this spring early on, or what's that situation look like?
Yeah, we've got several guys that their practices will be modified a little bit here in spring. Balin's a guy, his practices will be modified. Emmett the same way. I mean, he's probably ready to go. 6 months to me is probably too soon with an ACL. So he's going to do lots of things that'll be in a controlled environment. So we've got several guys like that. And, but the fact that they can practice in certain scenarios, it gives them a chance to develop and continue their growth as a player. David?
On the quarterbacks, do you see Jared as your starter right now, or do you see that as a competition?
Well, I think Jared's played a lot of ball, right? If you look over the last half of the year, Jared done a lot of really good things to help us win football games. JT done some things in the South Carolina game and UAB game that helped us win some football games. Brian showed some promise at times. All these guys, the first year in the system, they're not going to do anything but continue to improve. We've got good competition there. So Jarrett's a guy that has played a lot of ball. And I think if you look at all three of those guys, there's a lot of positives that they do. Okay, we've got to eliminate the few mistakes that we've made over the last year, and with another year in the system, that's something that we're working on. We've got a couple of other quarterbacks in that room, Harrison Bailey, Jimmy Holiday, Kasim Hill. They're taking the same amount of reps too. So we've got good competition, because we got to figure out who our first quarterback is, who our second quarterback is, who our third quarterback is, and they'll get a chance to do that throughout the spring. I think that's every position, right? In this business, it's you're only as good as your last game, right? Whether you're a coach, whether you're a player. So there always needs to be competition, so everybody will be at their best. Go ahead, Jess.
You talk about two spotting at that position. Is that something you guys will do with all 15 practices as a way to keep all 5 or 6 of those quarterbacks engaged, or at some point in the spring, will you kind of maybe par it down a little bit where whoever you guys do determine is 1, 2, and 3 may get more reps with kind of a green wide receiver group that you're kind of looking to build upon as well? Is that kind of what's the plan there, I guess is what I'm asking?
Well, the plan right now is to rep 6 guys. If there's a point in time that we feel like that maybe somebody eliminates themselves, then obviously we would get, whether it's 5, 4, 3, whatever it is, right? But we're going to continue to work 4 groups. So there's going to be lots of opportunities, you know, for throws and to kind of create some chemistry on the offensive side of the ball. So we do that every practice, and we practice like that in our scrimmages. So these guys will get plenty of opportunities this spring.
How much do you think that Brian Niedermeyer's high energy, motivational approach will benefit this younger group of linebackers moving forward without a better presence like you in the school?
You know, that's one of the positions that we don't have a lot of depth at this spring. So Brian's a guy that has worked with me at a couple of spots. So really, when we came here, he's probably a defensive guy. He can coach any position, but I think this guy's very bright. He understands what we're doing on that side of the ball. He understands the importance of the inside backers being signal callers. You know, and whether you're counting inside backers or outside backers, there's 4 or 5 guys that aren't here yet that'll fall into that mix and create some depth and competition as fall camp gets here. David?
What have you guys' contingency plans or conversations around coronavirus look like as the campus sort of prepares?
Say it again, Dave.
What have you guys' conversations or contingency plans around the coronavirus looks like as the campus sort of puts some things in place?
You know, Bill said something to me as we were walking off the field. You know, I've not been involved in any of that yet. Obviously, if you pick up the paper or you look on your phone or watch the news, it's something that has affected places worldwide, unfortunately. You know, I don't know a whole lot about it, but I believe in our administration here, and whatever precautions they take, we'll follow. Jesse?
Terrell was out there practice today. Is that something that's just going to be handled internally?
Yeah. Wes?
I mean, I'm not sure if you've already been asked or not, but with Jordan Allen going to tight end, is that just a numbers deal or something you've seen from him that will play that?
Well, you know, Jordan's a guy that, you know, he has a unique story, really. He was a high school wide receiver, tight end, signed in that position, ended up going to a junior college and converted to an outside linebacker, defensive end, only played the position 1 year. So when he got here, you know, if you talk to him, he's probably played a lot more offense in his life than he has defense. We worked him at outside linebacker and felt like he had some promise there. With his injury that he had last year, you know, just talking to us, he wanted to move to the offensive side of the ball, and we know he's got a skill set there, and we need some depth there, so it just made sense. I got one more, guys. Anybody?
J.J. Peterson, what have you kind of seen from him this offseason and perhaps his opportunity that, like you said, kind of a young inside linebacker?
Say it again.
Just J.J.'s offseason and kind of, you know, the expectation for him now, year 3 in the program, at a, you know, inside linebacker room right now, that a lot of bodies are coming, but they're not on campus yet.
Well, this is a big spring for J.J. You know, he missed summer and fall camp of his freshman year. You know, and then he really missed last spring and summer, you know, so this is the first time he's really getting the ABCs of it. So it's a big spring for him, and you can see the growth, and he's learning and has more confidence, but he just needs to get out there and compete and play ball and you know, give himself an opportunity to have success. Guys, I appreciate it.